Welcome to the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. I'm your host, Tony Arterburn. It is August the 12th, 2021. I'm joined via StreamYard through her connection or her underground bunker, miles beneath the earth, undisclosed. The artist formerly known as Fringe, my friend Kenzie, who is an expert on all things monetary, precious metals, crypto, anything that even requires a tinfoil hat. She can help you discern what is happening with that. But we're just going to talk about the fiat currency system today. We're going to talk about gold and silver. We're going to talk about what's happening with crypto and Bitcoin. I am looking at the headlines, Kenzie, and first of all, last week when I was on the road, I was in Rockwall, Texas, and I was in a hotel cutting my radio show on Friday, and the headlines were, the stock market was rallying and gold was tanking. And I'm going, oh, based on what? And they're like, oh, didn't you see the jobs numbers? And I'm like, isn't that the jobs numbers? You're talking about the massive amount of jobs left unfilled? And they're like, yes, we're surplus of jobs. And I'm like, well, that's because of universal basic income and socialism, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you're getting out of hard assets because it's time to get back in the market. I don't know. I'm pessimistic on the stock market as always. I think it's a casino. Thoughts on is that headline and that reaction as clown world as I thought it was?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not alone. I'm totally blown away. Of course, Bitcoin during that same news, even while facing the infrastructure bill, the taxing of the 28 billion and labeling miners as brokers, some absurd Orwellian language. That made Bitcoin go up. So I don't know. It's hard. It really is becoming more and more difficult to predict what any of these things are going to do as far as the markets of assets. But it seems to me, and I'll go to this first article. We'll discuss this a little bit while we.
There is a wasp in here, so if I scream and just run at any time, know that he got too close. Just fair warning.
Okay, good. I'll know is it a murder hornet or is it someone?
No.
Okay. Okay.
But it is likely to. It just scared the mess out of me, and I'm just glad I didn't open us up with a bunch of bad words here. He's been cool though. Like he's been okay while I've been working. So
y'all have
I should be okay.
détente.
Yeah, we've got some kind of agreement. So as long as he stays over there, we're cool. But he just decided to poke his head out. So
if I heard you scream during our broadcast, I was just assuming that they, I'm putting in
they came and got me.
The bankster they had gotten you and wanted your voice silenced. This is a statistic I thought was interesting. Apparently, the highest number of tons of gold ordered by central banks is about to be broken since World War II, since Bretton Woods. The previous record was in 2018, I believe, like 650 tons, and it looks like we are at 333 tons right now, 40% above the 5-year average for nation states ordering gold quietly. Now, they want you in the casino, ladies and gentlemen. They want you playing in the area of fiat currency. They don't want you buying assets. There's a big reason why you see, precious metals taking a dive sometimes, and why they're suppressed all the time. But this is to me an indicator, kind of reading between the lines. There's an article up on Zero Hedge. What gold volatility, and Stanley Fischer and CBDC can tell us about what lies ahead, talking about the central bank digital currencies and talking about nation states and central banks around the globe ordering gold and outpacing the all-time record. So thoughts on that? Do you think that these two things correlate, the big purchasing demands for physical gold along with the prices going down?
Possibly. I don't really understand it. The giant smackdown that we had gotten recently just made no sense at all to me, but again, we're in clown world. And I honestly wonder, I've been watching myself, different central banks around the world are acquiring a ton of gold, which they always are, right? But I'm wondering, remember Basel III? I'm still wondering, are they actually purchasing or are they swapping paper for, like, they have to move into the real thing? And it
That's a
can't be
great question.
done, it can't be done overnight. So are these real purchases, or is this them getting rid of that paper and actually filling vaults with real physical metal? I don't know. I have no idea. And if paper contracts are being shredded to get that physical gold, that would explain a little bit as to why there could be, some major volatility in the precious metals markets. But I don't I don't know. I'm trying to figure all of this out myself, and I think it's going to take a couple of months, and hopefully some really good articles and some really good information out there as to what's going on and how things are being moved around. So
Sure. I
I
mean, yeah,
can't
and
say a whole lot.
watch what they do, not what they
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
So you can see gold is money, and
Yes.
the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules. That's what the bankster class lives by. It's what the central banks live by. And so
Hmm.
you're watching them buy it up in a record year.
Hmm.
It's going to outpace anything ever seen before. But at the same time, you have this crate. Like last year, I was hosting the David Knight show at Infowars on
Hmm.
August the 6th, and that was the time the record breaking all time high for gold that day. It was, I think it broke, like, wasn't it like close to 2050?
Hmm. It
So
was.
I was live on air and I was thinking, this is just insane because I've been following gold, for many, many years. Now, fast forward a year, and we're in this weird place where they've printed
Hmm.
even trillions and trillions of more dollars through stimulus, and now they got this infrastructure bill and the relief packages and all this. I mean, and not to mention the stuff that the Fed does, just still propping up the liquidity markets.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
even really have oversight of that at all.
Mm-mm.
So
And in the numbers that we're getting, like, are they real numbers, or, to me, I think it's got to be far worse than what you're letting me know. Um, I don't know. It's just the Fed's just kind of like this black hole, and you just keep throwing money into it.
it's kind of like a black
Black hole
rock.
with, yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
it's a black.
That's like
It's a
literally
black
where
rock
they
in a black
sweep
hole, right?
their that's literally where they sweep their funds over to.
Right.
BlackRock gets to make all the big moves for them, so that makes sense.
Right. Well, this it definitely something that this show would cover
Hmm.
on the Golden Crypto Show because we're not afraid to be politically on the fringe, and I'm saying that with tongue in cheek. We're not afraid to explore the possibilities that there is a conspiracy when it comes to
Hmm.
the price of metals, because I mean there's some great scholarship out there on how this is being done. But as you see prices rise on lumber, food, land, all these other things, and then precious metals go down, I think that is has to be some sort. There has to be a plan involved. So let's put it that
Hmm.
way. Um,
It's purposeful. Yeah.
yeah, as we talk about that, we'll go over the spot prices a little bit later for gold, silver, and Bitcoin, maybe a little other couple of cryptos. What are you seeing in the price of silver in relation to gold? Where are you on your thoughts? Because I know that you have covered silver in a big way.
Hmm.
Um, Silver also took a dive a bit here in
Oh,
the last week.
that was a mini bloodbath. That was a I had people, 5 or 6 different people contact me, like, immediately. I didn't even know what was happening, and they're just like, "What is happening?" And I'm like, "Well, it looks like a great time to buy." Like, I don't know. That was my thought immediately. I mean, you kinda know some of the struggles that I've been through lately, so I haven't been buying as much with precious metals, and I'm like, "Oh, I can afford it again." So to me,
Right.
it was fantastic. And I've been wanting to acquire a little bit more gold. Just like I know the potential of silver. I totally get that, guys. But I I don't know. And it's not like I'm going out and buying a whole ounce of gold. Like I'll buy a gram at a time. And I know the premiums are high, but that's what I can afford. Um, I want that, and I want a little bit more gold in my stack personally, just because I think that I'll have more options and stability once things really start to heat up. Because who knows, maybe they continue. We see how easy it is to suppress silver.
Right.
Very, very easy. And if that continues, I need to have multiple hedges. And that's the other reason I'm in crypto. I need to have all of these hedges because I don't know which one's going to pop off first or how far, right? Like how exponential could these things go? That's a big question mark.
I just think anytime that you can exchange fiat in this climate for an asset is a good call,
Mhm.
based off of inflation, based off of the endless printing, the quantitative easing that's going to go on forever because they really don't have a choice. They can't taper
Mhm.
and they can't raise interest rates because the entire
Yeah.
economy is built on monopoly money now. So, what are you seeing in realms of? We'll talk about silver again a little bit later in the show,
Okay.
but that question really was bringing me to the question about inflation.
Mhm.
It's real. I mean, the headline of
Mhm.
Drudge was like 40% up in inflation, some crazy numbers. We're all over the place with predictions on the loss of purchasing power, food
Mhm.
prices up, all the rest. Where are we headed with that?
I
Your
think it's
opinion?
about to get far worse. Did you see today? I actually had to pull this up just now, so I say the right thing here. But did you see today that US producer price inflation soars to 7.8%? Which means, guys, the stuff that you buy on the stores, the person giving that or making that item for you, maybe they were able to take a little hit for a minute there, but that's just for July. So I
Right.
think that by the end of this month, I mean, everything. I know I shouldn't eat these, but and there are I noticed these almonds skyrocket. Like these are up $2 more than what they should be. I know I shouldn't eat those because they're covered in terrible stuff, but it's not just that. I'm sure like our clothes or items that we buy, just things that you need, normal necessities. I think now we're about to really start seeing this ramp up because nothing's really changed and it looks like we're going into lockdown 2.0. So
Right. Yeah, that's the elephant in the room.
the companies, they're trying to play catch up, but they're not there. It's not there. Um, and that's the scary part. Like there is no getting back to normal.
No.
We're swimming in the abyss at this point.
Right. Well, there's some wisdom in what you just said and talking about not going back to normal volatility, um, heading into the fall. We know what happened last fall, and
Mhm.
I think we'll see that again. The numbers will be up, the spikes, all the stuff that they talk about, and the uncertainty leading
Mhm.
to further inflation, further cuts in supply chains. One of the things we talk about in alternative media, the lockdowns and what happened in 2020. We're still feeling the effects of that.
Mhm.
We're still seeing that, and I don't think that the full impact has reached us because
Yeah.
you've had people bailed out by the stimulus money and the universal basic income, but
Well,
taking those people out of the workforce.
the whole UBI type setting that we're getting into, what's incredible to me, like I sent you that video from Instagram. What's incredible to me is like people's priorities are so backwards. It like I was jaw dropped, okay? Like I know people buy dumb things all the time, but to not have a job, to be getting assistance, to be getting some kind of stimulus and to think I'm gonna go buy something that makes me feel pretty, like you feel good about yourself for like an extra 24 hours and then it's gone, like the high is gone,
Right.
instead of invest in anything. Like I would give you a high five for throwing all of that into GME as a YOLO. Like at least you invested into something.
Yeah.
So anything but what's going on right now, it's just I'm jaw dropped. But on top of that, there's the flip side of this, Tony. I'm going to take you into like you might be in your uncomfort zone, by the time we're done with this show,
You
because
talking
I
about
say,
me?
yeah,
I
yeah.
never, no
I
way.
mean, because we're gonna get into some of the luxury goods, or I at least wanted to, designer brands and whatnot.
Right,
Um, the other flip side of this is historically, and I don't know if you know this for sure, um, but extremely collectible, extremely rare items. It could be purses, Rolex watches, art, some designer, I mean, jackets, things like this. Uh, People do when they notice that they're going into an inflationary setting. Those that are extremely wealthy, like they are invested, they have precious metals, and some of this designer gear, you might say, is just another hedge for them, you might
right.
say. Um, they do start to buy these things more, and sometimes not even to use it, just to put it back as if it's a fine wine or a fine piece of art. And seeing what I'm seeing right now with some of the higher end designer stuff, like I'm not going to break all that down for everybody in this stream, but there's a difference between buying like a Prada bag and buying like there's only 30 of these made Prada bag. And that's what I'm talking about. The extremely wealthy are getting into these categories right now. And you got to wonder, is there just so much excess money out there for the people on the top, which is likely, or are some of these people that are close to that, percentage, or have that much money rolling through, are they getting into these items because there's nowhere else to put this money that's safe?
That's interesting. And you'd mentioned, talking to me about it, just the Rolex watches being cleared
Hmm.
off the shelves. And what was I thought it was highly interesting, the response from the store owner
Yeah,
about who was
from
buying them.
yeah, I don't know if so. Meet Kevin. I've got this on my Instagram. There's a video, and he went into, it looked like a nicer mall. Surprise malls even exist at this point. He was in the Rolex store, and there was only 3 Rolexes left, and they were women's Rolexes. And they're probably, again, there's a difference between I bought a Rolex and like I bought an extremely limited Rolex. So I'm assuming that the 3 women's that were left are either that category, or they're just kind of like, if you've got funds. But his wife was in the Prada store looking for a bag or something. There were no bags. And the bags that they did have, they were marked up quite a bit. And what the Prada employees had told them was that people on stimulus and receiving government assistance were their best customers this year. If you were
Okay.
receiving government assistance, what the hell are you doing in a store like that? Like, where are your priorities? It makes
Well,
no sense.
that sounds pretty typical for the society that we're in right now, because I don't think those people are aware of what's around the corner,
Like for the
just down the
for the
road a little bit.
cost, the same cost of a basic Prada bag, like basic level, you could get an ounce of gold.
Right. Yeah.
But
I mean,
like,
and I think that we tend to place a lot of value in this society on things that aren't worth anything.
mm-hmm,
And that's the entire mentality of the stock market economy. And this has been going on for
exactly.
many decades, not valuing production like true wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And Sunday, Kinsey, is the 50th anniversary of Nixon taking us off the gold standard on Sunday night, August 15th, 1971. So since that time, look at what's happened to our society because of being completely now. We were untethered from the gold standard as far as the people were concerned long before 1971. It's just that the governments caught up to us because the
Mm-hmm.
trade deficit started to increase, and those countries started to want to cash out their US dollars at the gold window for gold. We were depleting our supplies.
Yeah.
Nixon really didn't have a choice. I mean, we were either going to pay for the Vietnam War and the welfare state and all the rest of the things that we were doing, uh, or we start paying these other countries for our trade deficits. And so there really wasn't a choice there at all. So we went off the gold standard. And since that time, it's been a free for all. I mean, you look at the
Mm-hmm.
debt, complete loss of all fiscal responsibility. You have people losing trillions of dollars, like Donald Rumsfeld lost before right before 9/11, the 2.3 trillion that they couldn't track. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, so we have a society built on monopoly money,
Mm-hmm.
uh, literally tied to nothing.
Yes.
And
And people are spending that monopoly money on stuff that is literally worth nothing.
right.
Literally.
To them, they're just trading one thing of fiat for another. I mean, just
Yeah.
whatever to them is a perceived value. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think it's crazy. But the rich, the truly wealthy, and just like we talked about at the beginning of the show, central banks, ladies and gentlemen, are buying gold. They're not telling you that. They're not. There's not a PSA out there saying, "Hey, by the way, you should have a little bit of gold and silver in your piggy bank."
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's doing that. They're telling you to save fiat. They're telling you to take out a student loan, get a 401k, and shut up. And be a nice worker bee, or a drone or whatever. And I think that system is built to collapse, and it's built for
Mm-hmm.
people to rob you, especially the ultra elite. So glad you brought that up into my attention. I don't pay a lot. I'm so stuck up here at the shop. All I do is gold and silver all day, and I
I don't
stay.
expect, for what I'm talking about today, I totally don't expect you to keep up to date on what's going on with luxury designer brands.
It's what I have you for. You keep up with all this stuff for me. You're
And people are
you're
gonna be
the
like, why
eyes and
why
ears.
is like why are you even looking into that? For other business that I do, I just tend to keep up with some of that kind of stuff to see what's going on out there. Um,
Everything's an indicator. Yeah.
yes, everything's an indicator. I sent you today. I didn't know if you had known this, but Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy's, that's just most of you know Louis Vuitton. LVMH owns a basket, you might say, of luxury designer brands. But Bernard Arnault is the world's richest man. I mean, he's worth $200 billion. So, Tony, did you hear the news that Rihanna is a billionaire now?
Who isn't a billionaire?
Okay,
Uh,
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy actually partnered with Fenty brand, which is Rihanna's brand, and that's what really blew it up. But this is again just showing people where priorities are and how worthless your stuff is. I mean, yes,
well,
these are designer brands, but they shouldn't. I don't know if the owner of Louis Vuitton should be the world's richest man. I mean, that doesn't make
no.
sense.
Right. Well, it's like
Just
the society that you create when you go off of a gold standard, okay,
yes,
is a
yes,
really backwards society where you really start honoring it's those who can extract the most amount of monopoly money from the
hmm
treasury, and nothing is tied to production, nothing's tied to actual value. So it's a free for all, and there's really no way to
exactly.
predict. But I can promise you that the wealthiest people are not people that have anything to do with creating anything anymore. That
hmm
used to be the case. Even the robber barons, for all their faults and funding communism and everything else they did, at least they made things like railroads and buildings. I mean, these new people, they just kind of move things around. Like
Yeah.
the vulture capitalist, like Mitt Romney, is just
hmm
like moving things. Bain Capital is moving things around, and it's there's nothing made, right?
Yeah.
So, no, you and I are on the same page. I'm glad because everything is an indicator, and I like to keep up with stuff like that, even though I'm
Oh, this
I'm
is
sheltered.
screaming to us right now. Like, this is the loudest. It might not seem like a big deal to anyone else, but this is part of your wealth transfer. And some of that is not just totally out of your control sort of deal. It's how, I don't want to say brainwashed, but how incorrect. I don't want to say that either. People are just being steered in the wrong direction. When brands like this are outperforming everything else, it is because they have set their business sort of standard up differently now. You don't have to be extremely wealthy to go and buy these products anymore. They will give you credit, so you can buy things on credit now through their stores. And they've also made things not as limited. It's actually not even that nice anymore. I'm sorry, if I'm going to buy Dolce and Gabbana, I don't want to see made in China on the tag. And that's happening today. So they're getting poor people. It's still priced to where you shouldn't be able to afford that thing, but someone is deciding I'm going to buy this bag over groceries this month. Like that's how people are thinking now. And it just ticks me off. They have found a way to make sure that the poor can afford their items, and It's keeping people locked in this debt cycle. It makes no sense to me. And right now I'm making myself angry here. I've gone off on a different rail here, and now I've
No,
just
it's
made
good. I
myself
mean,
angry.
well, that's a big indicator of what's coming. And I thought a large part of why you and I decided to put this podcast together and start this channel was to talk about the things that the mainstream's not going to talk about when it comes
Yes.
to finances, the
And
monetary system. And
I
go
would
ahead.
like to say I'm not hating on anybody that likes designer brands, or if you like to go and spoil yourself a little bit because you're working hard out there. I do not mind that. But what you need to do is, like, if you want to go and buy something like that, in my personal opinion, I'm not going to buy something unless I can buy it 3 times over without credit. That's how I know I can afford it. That's why I go thrift store shopping.
Well, so
Because
do
most
I.
things I can't do that, right? So it's okay. Like, if you're still living below your means and you can afford those items, have at it. You deserve it. I just don't want us to be in this mindset of this will make me feel better, and it won't. Like, it's not going to make you feel any better, and now you're down a couple $100, right?
That's right. And this is only going to lead to uh, more and more of a hangover
Yes,
of
yes.
of of injecting this. I mean, it's nothing else but monopoly money, folks, has been injected into the economy, starting really with the outrageous numbers under the last year, the Trump administration, and before that, the Fed was putting about $6 trillion into the repo markets. They did, and I covered that on my show, like before the
Oh,
scamdemic, and I remember thinking, this is. I kept checking it and checking it because no major outlet would cover it. This is $6 trillion before
we're in crazy
January,
town. It's
right?
it's
It's
like a
long since.
nightmare.
Right. When people are like, "What do you think about the stimulus or the infrastructure bill?" And I go, "Yeah, what about it?" They're like, "Well, do you think it's too much? Do you think that they could have like, I mean, and like Republicans are like, we should make it $1 million less, for fiscal I mean, they don't even have. There's no argument anymore for fiscal sanity in either one of the major parties. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to print it, and then they
Somebody
have
did the math the other day. I'm sorry, I totally don't have this link for you. I might could try to find it later. But somebody did the math, and I think that since it was either since 2019 or 2020, the amount of money that we have printed and put together with these different infrastructure bills and stimulus, whatever, it comes out to be 36,000 over $36,000 per
right,
adult in this country, something like that, or per head in this country. That's insane. That's
right. Well,
what are we doing?
we're taking it to the bottom. I mean, I think
Literally.
what they're trying to do is a controlled demolition of the fiat currency
Mhm.
system. All around the globe, whatever your political biases are, that you got to look at a plan that is being implemented by these central banks
Mhm.
to implement the digital currencies, the central bank digital currencies, which is about controlling the money supply in real time, being able to expand and contract that, and also make units of credit disappear or expire.
Mhm.
If you look at like right now, the U.S. dollar, the printed U.S. dollar, 80% of all the $100 bills ever printed are outside of the continental United States. And about 65%, I believe, of all the paper currency of the U.S. ever made isn't inside the United States. It's outside. It's because the petrodollar. I think if you look at their plans for a central bank digital currency linking to linking to the IMF and the World Bank and the Bank of International Settlements and all the rest, I think they want to make a one world type linked currency that is able to expand and contract in real time, and of course they can use that for censorship
Mhm.
and political ends, as they're not afraid to do, and I think they will do. So that's what we're talking about. I think that the average person, and God love them, and I hope they wake up soon. The system it's rigged, and the system that was created in the last 30 or 40 years, they're going to transition into something else, and it'd be good if during that time you got your hands on physical assets to
Mhm.
to weather the storm. And that's what people are attracted to when it comes to gold and silver. And you even right now, people are attracted to Bitcoin for those
Yes.
reasons. which
And
I
just
don't disagree with.
no, not at all. And keep that stuff on a separate wallet, on a hard wallet. Not, if you're holding that and you want it to be a long-term thing, I definitely suggest keeping it on a hard wallet, cold wallet storage. Don't keep it on exchange. There's just too many risks with that, but more importantly than, oh my God, your account's going to get hacked by some nefarious hacker. No, screw that. Like, the FBI is probably coming for your Bitcoin, to be honest. And they'll spend it in whatever ways that they need to. But with the crazy volatility that we've
Depends
just
on what
seen
you
in
believe
different,
in.
yeah, depends on what you, there we go. I'll save that
Right.
bubble for someone else that doesn't want to believe that. But with the craziness that we have been seeing and just how a law could pop up out of anywhere, I think it's safer probably to keep it off of exchanges for those reasons. And I mean, once it's in that wallet, nobody knows where it goes. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it pretty much after that. So just something to throw out there.
Those are words of wisdom. We'll do a show soon on just Bitcoin,
Okay.
and I'll tell you about my experiences with Bitcoin. And I have my Bitcoin ATMs, and of course I accept it here at the shop. But I've been
Mm-hmm.
buying and selling since 2016. I've learned a little bit. I wouldn't
A li-
consider myself it's a little bit. I wouldn't consider myself an expert or anything. But I do recommend like Exodus wallets. I think
Mhm.
Exodus is a good wallet, not tied to an exchange. You should own a little bit of crypto. And I'm not, look, you can't even really buy a lot of crypto from me. And so this isn't an advertisement or an infomercial. Just find a nice exchange like Gemini. Uh, Coinbase is okay. I'm not a huge fan, but
Yeah.
Bitrex is all right. And of course, Kraken is always okay. But you can find an ATM near you too. I mean, you might run into one of my Bitcoin ATMs and get yourself a little bit of, but get an Exodus wallet, download it, and write down your 12-word passphrase, laminate it, put it in a safe place, a firebox that won't get burned up, and something you won't lose. But we'll do a show on crypto soon because it's all this flows together. It's one of the reasons we put the in the title of the show,
Hmm.
so we wouldn't lose track of why we're doing this, is just to get people to understand that the fiat currency system is literally evil, folks.
Hmm.
If you look at all the problems that we have politically, spiritually, sociologically, it all ties back to currency that can be printed out of thin air to pay for and meet the ends of whatever need of whatever person runs things, right? Whatever meat puppet is in charge at the time. And so, looking at the headlines, looking at the clown world, Kenzie, we see that gold goes down when weird news comes out about, like, there's so many jobs that we have a surplus of jobs, and fast food
Because
workers, right,
because no one wants to go get one.
right, because they don't
No
have to.
one
They're
wants to
getting
go get.
UBI.
Seriously, just to throw it out there, some pretty large up and coming company is literally talking. I decided to put a resume in, and I'm talking with this company. You know why? Because people are purposely bombing their interviews with them. The lady that interviewed me let me know that this is a very nice company. And I should not say this on camera, but like, I should not be the one to take that job. There's got to be people that are far more experienced than I in this world. And like, I'm not going to say who it is, what it is, or what I'm applying for. Like, do I have the skill to do it? Yes. But someone else probably has far more than me. But they're frustrated. And it doesn't make any sense because the yearly salary on this job would be really nice for anybody. So it's sad to think that people are willing to limit themselves and how far they can go because it's easier to get government money. That's I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand this.
It's a
Um,
symptom of a much bigger sickness that has to do with our society. And I think those of us who are paying attention know that we're in the eye of the hurricane right now.
we are.
And you can
It's the calm
still,
before. Mm-hmm.
yes, you can
It's the
still
calm before
get
the storm.
cheap uh, assets with your fiat
Mm-hmm.
currency before we reach the beginning stages of hyperinflation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you're going to see lots of unrest, and as the empire starts to flail,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what always happens before actual wars. You have currency wars, trade wars, and then actual wars. And we're in that beginning currency war stage, going into trade war stage, and the U.S. dollar is not something I'd be pegging any of my hopes to. That system is coming to an end, and that in the realm of the monetary system. And I think that's why they've got it waiting in the wings. They got the digital currencies. They want to go after Bitcoin. They'll soon be going after people like me that broker gold and silver, trying to make it harder and harder for you to own physical. But right now, the window's open. So I'm encouraging people to, if you don't shop with Wise Wolf or call me, get a hold of somebody that knows what they're doing and get out of fiat.
Just call somebody. Like, that's the whole point, I think, of this show is, like, if you've been sitting on the fence, it is better to do a little bit now. Like, even if you can just do a little bit right now, gold, silver, or Bitcoin, go and do that now so you understand the process at least, because the last thing that you want to do is see silver when it's at $50 an ounce, which can happen very quickly. It did in the past, and we can surpass that easily. The last thing that you want to do is be chasing that $50 silver and then it's 60, 70, 80. Like,
now there's a micro, there's a micro example of that. What happened? Wasn't it February?
Yeah,
where we had
we just shot straight up.
We tried to get it was the Reddit raiders, and they tried to push kind of like a GameStop scenario for physical silver. And my phone was ringing off the hook, and premiums shot up, and supply chain kind of busted for a while, but it didn't really push the needle anywhere near that all-time high, which 1980 is the high for silver because of the Hunt brothers. And that in terms of where we are now, that's $50 in 1980, folks, is like $200 today.
Yeah.
So no, that was insane, and we will see that again. It's just not right now, and not with the current central bank. And even back then, back in 1980, folks, the Treasury was one thing and the Fed was the other. But now they're the same. You have Janet Yellen, former head of the Fed, is now the Secretary of the Treasury, and they flow together. They're the same thing, intermingling, and that is really every indicator of what you need to know about the U.S. dollar moving forward. So I wanted to welcome all the viewers that we have. We're live here on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. I reactivated all the old Gold and Silver channel pages, and happy to have everybody back. You guys know that I host a radio show. Those who follow some of these channels, called the Art of Burn Radio Transmission. You can still find me Mondays and Fridays. You can go to artofburn.news for the schedule, and of course weaponsgradetruth.com for the podcast. And I've got some exciting news coming up about the radio show. But on this particular venture with Kenzie and I, we decided to go live and, of course, add this to the podcast. But we're live right now. We're going to be able to do some more interaction with the audience, those who are in the chat. It's something I wanted to do for a while because I'm not really constrained on this format at all, because it's just a stream instead of like radio. So I can go to the chat. We'll be able to eventually open up some phone lines, and if you got questions on the economy and gold and silver, and Kenzie and I, we're not giving investment advice at all, just kind of talking, it's having a conversation about the precious metals and crypto sector. not financial advice.
No. Today I might have gotten a little hot-headed too. I haven't we missed I had to miss last week's show. We had technical issues, and it's like all this different stuff just got bottled up inside, and I just excuse me, guys. Might have gotten a little bit off topic tonight, but there's just so many things that are happening at one time. It's hard to keep up with it. But you don't have to keep up with all of it. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to say, hey, something is wrong here and I need to do something about it. That's it. Just do something about it.
I thought you were on target. No need to apologize at all. Let's go over this headline. I sent you the article from Market Watch, and this is from today on the metal stocks. Gold ends slightly lower a day after the sharpest daily rise in 2 weeks. And this is another Now they give you, they give you a decent breakdown, but it's still, again, the clown world order. Gold futures settled lower on Thursday, a day after the commodity marked the first back-to-back advance in about a month and the sharpest daily rise in 2 weeks. There is less interest and liquidity for gold in the slow days of August, writes Jeff Wright, chief investment officer of Wolfpack Capital. It told MarketWatch the prices for precious metals traded lower for the week as well as the month so far. And it talks about the factors leading to that. The U.S. Producer Price Index data, a leading economic indicator for consumer prices down the road, was pretty hot. The Consumer Price Index was hot, Kinsey. They're really they're thinking this is really going to be great, exceeding consensus numbers across the board. So this is where the mainstream I look at this and I go, what are y'all talking about? The volatility is insane out there, and the prices are rising, but okay. And they also said, but there's no way to hide from inflation right now, especially given low rates and only discussions of Fed tapering, only discussions. Adding that in reaction, the U.S. dollar and the U.S. Treasury yields have risen a bit in the Thursday dealings, blah, blah. So, again, gold in slightly lower, even given the trillions that they've printed, given the volatility, given the, you have governors, former governors now of states, just became former, that were announcing, passports for your medical status. For what,
it's being introduced as of today,
because that drives business.
Yeah,
right?
For today, it's being introduced to I think the Senate. I'll get you the exact law that they want it to be, but I'm not going to be able to. It's actually like a thing. I'm not going to be able to fly on a plane
right
here pretty soon. Like they're introducing that, so it's not just for restaurants anymore.
Well, that's another reason I'm willing to do a tiny bit of sanitizing my language for the technocracy if I can tell people where my other shows are. Also, that's one of the reasons I'm going to do this podcast, because you can get some surface level stuff, and if you're interested in putting on a tinfoil hat, then you can go to Kinsey's show. You go to Fringe Files on YouTube. She sometimes joins me on my radio show, and then I just joined we're now the three-headed monster that makes up America Unplugged over on rockfin.com. Doing that show with with Billy Ray Valentine and Donald Jeffries. So it's been a lot of our first episode last week, and I'll have more news on that as we go. But let's do some spot prices and real quick. And then, because you're tuned into this show, if you'd like, I can give you spot price and then tell you what a retail price for an ounce of silver or gold will be. How about that? Would that be fun?
I mean, I actually wanted to know, because I wanted to know what you were selling for as of today.
Because I'll give you real prices, and I even tell them, like, a lot of my customers that buy from me regularly, I show them what my cost is. I'm like, guys, I don't make that much. Just, you got to buy a lot of stuff from me. Today, gold was at 1,753 fiat dollars per troy ounce, 1,753 Luciferian bankster notes per troy ounce, and of course up 67 cents from when the show started. So little green arrow there. Nothing near what it was last year. Silver's down 32 cents from the start of the day. $23.21 per troy ounce for the white metal. And again, we'll have Bitcoin spot here on the other side of this. I wanted to log in and tell you guys what we're looking for as far as, or looking at rather, as far as prices for run-of-the-mill gold and silver out the door from my shop as an independent. And a lot of times my prices will line up with JM Bullion or SD Bullion or some of the other bigger houses. Sometimes they're a little bit less, sometimes they're a little bit more. So out the door right now, an ounce of silver, let's say a Krugerrand. So this is a Krugerrand, South African 1 ounce, 2021, out the door, $27.75. And so what was the spot price? $23.21. So you can see there's a, more than a $4 premium on silver still. But I will tell you that at the height of the last buying stampede in February, I had people buying up to, retail was at 35, Kenzie.
Yeah.
So we're in a good place to, and I think silver and gold are cheap, but we're in a good place to get a hold of either metal right now. Let's look at gold. And this has nothing to do with an American Eagle, by the way. These are prices based off of, Krugerrands, Britannias. I tend to not want to pit people into American gold unless there's just a great deal out there, and I haven't seen any for a while. The premiums are just too high. Let's look at Krugerrands for gold. That's just always I love Krugerrands. I'm doing this in real time, so bear with me, guys. All right, so out the door for a 2021 South African gold Krugerrand from me, you're looking at $1,840. So price of gold was $1,753. So you're seeing there's used to, and this is the times in which we live, used to the premium was usually about $50 over spot for gold, maybe a little tiny more. Silver was $2 over spot. The retailer made a little bit, the wholesaler made a little bit. And that's just not the case anymore, folks. There's a lot of premiums placed on these metals. And while the spot price may change and fluctuate based off a lot of these paper contracts, I wouldn't trust that. I mean, take advantage of it because it's bringing the overall price down.
Yeah.
But the premium prices are a reflection of the actual supply.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I think.
No, I was actually just going to speak on that, because if we got premiums like back to where they really should be, normal premiums, then we would just see another supply kink issue. So maybe keeping those premiums just high enough keeps some of us just slowly buying, not buying enough to really cause major supply issues. But we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, it just takes that one thing to set it off again, and we got problems.
I'm going to recognize the chat here real quick before we do Bitcoin price, and then there's a story on Bitcoin, and then we'll close out. I just wanted to recognize the chat. We got M. Houston is in the chat. I haven't seen her in a while. She says, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Jim Chambers is in there. I don't know if you can see the chat, Kenzie, on your side.
I forgot that we had a chat in here, and I had actually just opened it up.
Yeah, we link up live to all of the channels that I have, like Periscope. I've got us on 2 different Twitters right now and Facebook pages. As I said, Jim Chambers is in there. Appreciate his comments as always. Raybo Ghosted, or Raybo's Ghost. Is this a new account for you, young man? Have you been bad making new videos on the truth and getting banned? He's always into his trouble. Always appreciate his viewership. Darth David says, "I love the show. Keep up the great work." David's always been a great supporter. We got Matt. There's so many lies they've pushed on us. Absolutely. And then, of course, we've got, I know we had at least one more in there. Todd Strong mentioned Monero. And I'll put this comment up there. Monero is supposedly the only untraceable crypto, maybe one or other one. Yeah, there's Pirate Chain is also another one that competes, or at least is a companion to Monero. And I own a little bit of Pirate Chain, so
I think Zcash might be an option as well. It's not as popular.
I think Pirate Chain is an offshoot of Zcash.
Yeah. So there's some options out there, but also realize, guys, it's only as untraceable as you make it. Like if you're trading this stuff on any KYC type platform, like you're gonna be found. It's not hard. So it's
the best way to use crypto is between each other, folks.
What you get in is what you put out. Yeah.
Right.
So just be educated in what you're doing.
Right. Keeping it autonomous. I mean, once you cash out into fiat, once you take it and put it through an exchange, you're liable for the taxes on that. But as far as the system is rigged now, or set up now, I believe, and this isn't tax advice or financial advice, but I'm pretty sure you and I can go crypto back and forth, and that's not a taxable event.
It is. It is actually.
Oh,
In
is it
most
now? Okay.
Yes, in most places it is.
Depending on what
So,
item it is.
no, like if I wanted to give you, say, Bitcoin for your car, if technically my Bitcoin is up, I still have to pay taxes on that. In most states, this does have to be done, so please be very careful. And guys, even just trading between crypto to crypto, that's still a taxable event. And if you are on a KYC insured type platform, then they're looking at you even harder.
Okay.
So there are,
Well, it's
and
good
this
to
is
know.
it's changing every day. Every
Yeah.
day. It's good to keep on top of it,
Well,
guys.
that's why you're on the show, Kenzie. I haven't traded any crypto for anything in a long time. But that's not the way it was supposed to work. I mean,
No,
think
it's not
think if you
supposed to
had to
be like
pay
that.
taxes on every time you use your debit card.
Yeah.
That's just so that doesn't even
Like,
make
oh,
any
the
sense.
dollar is up today. I guess I need to pay taxes, capital tax gains on these groceries I just bought. That makes sense.
Yeah,
What?
I'm
What?
gonna give you a silver eagle for 3 chickens, right? And then what if my silver eagle's up and then I got to pay taxes on these chickens? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Well, technically you do, but I would totally fight you to like we could fight the US government on that one because that's constitutional money. So, I
That's
don't know.
constitution. Well, it's an exchange. So
Hmm.
okay, we'll have to do maybe we'll find a tax expert on crypto because I
Oh, we
want to find
totally
out.
should.
I want to find out how does the clown world order obviously extends into everything, but I didn't know it had gone that far where you had to calculate like from the time the inception of Bitcoin into your wallet, exchanging it for whatever said goods and services, you have a taxable event even if you don't turn into fiat. That's news to me. Okay,
This is
so
why it's not fun for me to like trade crypto anymore because every move that you make, I need to like write down and keep up with it. I don't.
that's a nightmare.
It's a
Okay,
nightmare.
it's a
It's not
nightmare.
fun anymore. It's not.
All right, well, a couple more in the chat. We've got Aviation Arms has also joined us. Appreciate it. So we're going to be recognizing the chat in this show. I always promise this on my radio show, and I almost never deliver it because I get busy I always say I'm going to look at the chat. I'll get to you guys, and then I just ram through stories, and then I look and I have 2 minutes left to do spot prices and end the show. Because you can't have dead air. Well, I have you. I don't have to worry about it. So
I
we'll
don't.
definitely be going to the chat. We'll have phone lines eventually. You guys can call in. Aviation Arms says, I found a book on federal tax, and apparently not as many people are required to pay it as previously thought. Well, that's a dangerous road. I have seen similar books and similar breakdowns, and we could definitely get into the 16th Amendment and it not being completely and legally ratified, as well as the existence of the Internal
Well,
Revenue Service
that and like
at
they've
all.
started changing the laws yearly now. It's like in the middle of the year there could be tax law that's changed now, and you would need to be buying a new book and reading like this much stuff every year just to keep up with that. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you only or really need to worry about that is if you're a certain political persuasion, right? I'm putting this in quotations. If you're on one team, you can pretty much,
Yeah.
do it. You can lose your laptop anytime you want, even no matter what's on it, right? Um, all right, so let's do Bitcoin prices. We'll close out. The last story I had was this is yesterday, and Bloomberg. Bitcoin roars back, putting $100,000 predictions in vogue again. Did you know it was in vogue again to predict $100,000 BTC, Kenzie?
I mean, no one ever really stopped saying it. Just like there's still people they're like it's gonna go to zero, and it's like, okay, I don't know if we'll hit 100K soon, but I also don't think that we're hitting zero ever. So, I don't really follow these predictions. I just kind of do what feels right. So,
Well, you didn't quite hit your $20,000.
oh, it could still happen though. What if this is
r-
like dead cat bounce? Who
right. Life
knows?
is long. We won't. We've still got time. The world's largest cryptocurrency is staging a comeback that is taking up more than 50% from recent lows, which is interesting. I've watched it. I buy a little bit every day, so I've watched it grow. I watched it fall back a little bit. reviving animal spirits and coaxing out sky-high price targets that, while a source of comedy for some, emerge when the asset is rallying. So you see Bitcoin was down, and I think we crossed into the $29,000 threshold not too long ago. It broke what, 47,000 and some change, and I'm going to give you price breakdown at this exact time here. It is 5:26 Central Time, 12th of August, p.m. Here in Branson, Missouri. We'll do BTC price. Let's take a look. Right now, we're at $44,090 per Bitcoin. Will it go to 100,000? I don't know. I don't know anymore. I love it when El Salvador and these other countries like that, when they adopt it. I think that's fantastic news. We have a long way to go. I love the technology of Bitcoin. I'm not a fan of just something that has to be digital. So I like Bitcoin for its story and what it does, and I like the peer-to-peer. And we'll talk more about that because sometimes you want to travel light. Bitcoin's a good way for you to travel internationally as well. That's a well, it is. I mean,
no, that's just such a good slogan, like travel light.
I had a customer that had listened to my radio show on WWCR, and was an older gentleman, and he had a lifetime savings of silver. Sent me all of his silver through the mail, which I can't believe he did. But anyway, he sent me a big thing of silver through the UPS and through the exchange, and he traded it all for gold because he wanted to travel light. So it went from a big thing of silver to smaller, to the pre 1933s, which actually for his age was pretty smart because he just locked in his value and he was able to put it in a small bag, as opposed to the silver that he had, which was a really interesting collection. So all right, so Bitcoin price, that's down. We don't know where it's going, folks, but definitely Bitcoin's not going anywhere. Definitely will be around, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting developments in that sector.
We've got some really interesting stuff. I mean, I know we didn't get to hit it. I'll just speak on it really quickly, but Burberry and Louis Vuitton getting into their NFTs. These will launch in just a couple of days, Tony, and they are embedded, I think, into video games that they have. But this is interesting because Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, I just said that guy is worth $200 billion. The Chinese is the largest buyer of luxury goods right now. So anybody that's scared that China's going to put the crack down on all of these things, this is another billionaire that's getting into the game of this, and we're not talking about a measly, $4 billion. We're talking about big bucks here. So I think that crypto is here to stay. Blockchain is growing and evolving. That's just another confidence booster for people that are out there. People know how I feel about NFTs as far as art and stuff. It's not really my thing, but I can also see the plus side into physical, tangible items becoming NFTs. So,
And by NFTs, you mean non-fungible tokens?
Yeah. On my channel, we say not effing tangible, but
okay, you can say that on this channel too. But I think that's good. We'll explore that. I haven't understood them, but you can illuminate that subject for me here in the coming weeks and months, and we'll see where that leads.
Definitely.
Anything else on the table? Anything else you want to get to before we close out?
No, we can definitely. If you want to, we can get on out of here. We've been doing this for about an hour now. It's a pretty good show.
That's a good time for me. And of course, we'll be here Thursdays. We usually try to record the show, folks. Follow us on the podcast. Sometimes the podcast will contain bonus episodes. You want to follow us, the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show, anywhere podcasts are found, literally anywhere from Pandora to Amazon to Apple.
We're on Pandora?
We're on Pandora. We're on TuneIn Radio. We're on all of them. I put us on everything. The RSS feed goes everywhere. We got about 5 other episodes linked up there, but we'll be going live. I like to do the live shows, and that way we can interact with the audience on some of my older feeds that did not get nuked. So we'll be here regularly on Thursdays. Sometimes we'll do more shows, but I appreciate you, Kenzie. Where can people find you?
YouTube on Fringe Files channel, but I'm only on YouTube until they kick me off, which will happen pretty quickly. So I'm on Odyssey and D Live as well, guys. But if those platforms aren't easy to navigate, I get it. Just go over to the YouTube channel, and I've got my link tree set up in the description, so you can easily find my social media and everything else from my link tree.
Wake Up and Dream says Fringe and Tony are crushers, and not crushers of dreams, but crushers of content, I assume.
I don't know. I might crush dreams.
You might, maybe, right? And Jim Chambers says, great content. Keep up the great work. We appreciate all you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for supporting the show. And in a world of fiat reality, the truth is solid gold. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week.